Okay. So Ken Mode is a Canadian noise rock band who were initially influenced by metallic hardcore. Well, what the fuck does that mean? You know, they weren't. It wasn't Hatebreed. It was the strange stuff, the like black market activities, Robotic Empire. The those are labels, by the way. Who touched upon like the early post metal side of things, where there was post hardcore engaged there. They the noisier side of post hardcore, mathcore, chaotic hardcore was a big thing at the time. We're talking the early 2000s. So they've been at it for about a little over 20 years. They formed in 1999, and this is their eighth album. So immediately when I realized this is the eighth album, I know like I missed a bunch of them along the way. I like the first one. I like the 2015 one. Uh, but really getting into details, listening to their full discography, it really built the expectation for this to be not so much cumulative, but just bigger and better. Especially like loved their 2018 album was a big deal. It was all over fucking everything when it came out. And it seems like folks are generally less excited for this album. And I was surprised. I was like, whoa, why? Because the first couple singles were great. Lots of energy, lots of screaming in your face, you know, pandemic era angst and a really clever side that appeals to me as just a fan of noise rock in general. Uh, then I dug into the album a little bit more, and uh, there's a lot of slower industrial sort of influenced sludgier pieces on here. Not really like Godflesh level things, not jazz. You know, it's more like we lose the sort of clanking, unsane, sort of involved side of the band for something that's almost like Primitive Man esque. Like more recently, uh, Buñuel, or however you pronounce their name, had some of these similar style tracks. Uh, Obviously, early noise rock has a lot of industrial built into some of that stuff, or in relation to early industrial. So the way people are seeing it is maybe more Swans influenced. I get it. But bands like Chat Pile and I think what like Throat, uh, they've also Calvin Walled City slowed down a bit on their last record. It has a feeling more in those realms, and it for me it makes an already sort of miserable subject, which they're sort of amping up for the sake of just getting it out and putting it out there, and it drags on. It really just drags on, and there's a 10-minute song in here. It's a good song, but it slows down. It repeatedly slows down the momentum of the album to the point where it becomes excruciating. And if it was supposed to be, I get it. I felt it. But I was ready to just go in on a Ken Mode record. And what I got was an album that was sort of like fighting back at me, so that like I was really just not, I didn't want to keep listening to it over and over again. Um, which I get it. That means they really effectively conveyed what they were trying to. I get the goal of this record and like how it's supposed to feel. Uh, and I know it's the first part of a two-part album, so there's more to this story overall. But just it kind of beat me down a little bit. Like I just wasn't in the goddamn mood for this. Jumping between pissed and like murderously depressed or some shit like that. It's just like I don't know. Uh, the, I couldn't translate it to my own experience to the point where I wanted to keep listening to it over and over. And maybe that's kind of similarly to the way I reviewed like a Primitive Man album last time. The last time I did that. So I appreciate the spectacle of it. I appreciate the challenge of it. But when it comes down to recommending it and listening to it over and over again, uh, yeah, I would. I don't know if it's the place to start with Ken Mode. This is sort of like the advanced Ken Mode lesson to take. It's you know, you're 8 sessions in to sort of getting what they're all about. And, for me, I kind of picked my favorite back in 2015, and I've liked everything else well enough since. But This one was just a moderately high. Just yeah, if you're already a fan, for sure try it. And if you don't know what noise rock is and you want to hear like a you already like metallic hardcore and Converge and things like that, it's a cool band to sort of check out and know. But for me, it's not their best. That's about it. I mean, that's the idea of it.